Don't forget to like, subscribe and share the videos.
G20's Climate Action Promise. See, the G20's climate action, they have pledged to triple the target of renewable capacity addition. Right now, the average percentage of capacity addition is around 10%. See, from the graph itself, we could able to see that 8.43, 8.46, 9.03. So between 9 to 11% it is the annual capacity addition across the globe in terms of renewable energy, renewable capacity is taking place. And right now, the current renewable capacity across the globe is 3,400 gigawatts, and in that 295 gigawatt was added in 2022 alone. So if they wanted to triple the annual renewable capacity addition, means nearly 1000 gigawatts per year needed to get added from the 2030. And the target, what the author is saying is that the target is achievable. Why? Because during the time of 2015 to 2022, the capacity addition has increased twice the times than it was present during the period during 2015. But what is the major deficient in the capacity addition that is right now taking place in the renewable sector across the globe is only certain handful of developed countries are only investing heavily in their country's renewable capacity addition. In that, China alone contributes nearly 48% of the global capacity addition. See, from the data, and with the China and India combined, they are contributing to nearly 50% of the global renewable capacity addition. See, from the data itself, we could able to know that out of 295 gigawatts that was produced during the year, out of it nearly 140 gigawatt have been produced by China, nearly 48%. So this should not be the case hereafter. Why? Because every countries need to contribute for the renewable capacity addition. For that, what is the thing which each and every country needed is, first is building the knowledge as well as capacity of the country in relation to building the renewable energy capacity. Second is the solar mini grids needed to be enhanced across the country. Why? Because of the certain geographical as well as geomorphological phenomenon, the renewable technology could not be able to, the renewable grid could not be able to reach the last mile of the country. So by using the solar mini grids, we could able to give renewable electricity supply to the last mile of the people, those who are present in the region. And then the entrepreneurs need to be encouraged as well as promoted, so that new innovation in terms of renewable capacity addition will be taking place. So these are all the things which each and every country is needed, so that every country will be in a position to contribute to the renewable capacity addition or tripling the renewable capacity addition by the 2030. But first and foremost, what is the important challenge for providing these three things to a country have is, first is the fund. According to International Renewable Energy Agency, nearly $5 trillion is required for transiting an economy from non-fossil fuel to fossil fuel economy to non-fossil fuel economy. But right now the world countries are investing only $1.3 trillion. So the fund is the major problem for transitioning a country from fossil to non-fossil fuel based economy. And during 2030, and what is the other challenges? During 2030, because of the increase in global warming as well as the related climate change, the greenhouse gas emission will be higher. Why? Because more number of energy demand or requirement will be increased. As a result of which, the corresponding greenhouse gas or the electricity that is produced from the fossil fuel will also get increased. And this increase in the greenhouse gas is way higher than the target which they have fixed right now in terms of tripling the renewable capacity addition. It is way higher than the greenhouse gas emission which is going to be emitted in the 2030 is way higher than the target which they have set right now. And these are all the challenges that faces the global country right now. But this is the one of the positive step forward in the direction of tackling the climate related negative impacts. And in that, international solar alliances, that is having access to fund, the problem for these problems are mostly faced by developing as well as poor country, and as not only fund but also the access to technology. The international solar alliances which was formed by India along with France, here most of the African countries are also member of it. Through this platform, the African as well as other developing or underdeveloped or small island state country could able to have access to technologies as well as the fund. So this is what the details of the news is about. How the news is being related to civil service examination is, under prelims, the news has been related to general issues on environmental ecology, and then under mains it is related to GS paper 3, conservation, environmental pollution, degradation, environment impact assessment. So let's have a look into United Nations Framework for Convention on Climate Change. This framework for Convention on Climate Change got adopted in 1992, and for its implementation a Kyoto Protocol was formed in 1997. Here the India ratified it in 2002 and it entered into force in 2005, the Kyoto Protocol. In that, the developed country needed to cut emission by 5% by 2012 on the level taking 1990 levels as the base. Here the country has been divided into Annexure 1 country, Annexure 2 country, non-Annexure 1 country. Here in Annexure 1 as well as Annexure 2 countries, the developed countries are the part of it. Here they will be, here particularly in the Annexure 2 countries, the countries which are part of the Annexure 2 needed to provide help as well as support in the form of technology and finance to the non-Annexure 1 countries, where in the non-Annexure 1 countries or the non-Annexure 1 under this column, mostly the developing, underdeveloped and poverty country will be present. So the Annexure 2 countries which are part of it needed to provide help in the form of technological as well as fund support to the non-Annexure 1 countries. And this Kyoto Protocol was in force till 2012, and after that, and one important thing is US never signed Kyoto Protocol, and then Canada withdrew from the Kyoto Protocol after 2012. So this is the important part of it. And during the 2012, the targets need to be realigned so that the amendment has been made in the convention. So that amendment is called as Doha Amendment. But this Doha Amendment is a flop. Why? Because it is the amendment which was intended to to establish the to re-establish or revamp the plan for the period of 2012 to 2020. But until 2019, only some 120 plus country only has ratified the amendment. But if the amendment needed to get implemented, means nearly 144 countries needed to ratify the Doha amendment. But those countries, near the 144 countries, the count has not been reached, so that this amendment has not been implemented till now. But during the 2015 Paris deal, to keep the global temperature well below 2 degrees Celsius, and efforts needed to be made to keep it way below than the 1.5 degrees Celsius than the pre-industrial levels was made. And then during Conference of Party 2008, which was held in Poland, a city called Katowice, where they have finalized the rule book for implementation of the 2015 Paris deal. And in 2021 only, most of the global countries have pledged for net zero carbon emission. In that, India has also made a target of Panchamrit target. In that, India has said that they will be reaching the net zero emission by 2070. And lastly, and one of the important requirement of the 2015 Paris deal is that developed country needed to provide $100 billion each year after 2020. But until now, it is not, the decision in relation to the fund has not been reached a consensus. But because of the effort made by developing countries as well as other small island states as well as poor countries, in 2022 Conference of Party, which was held recently in the Egypt, loss damage fund was created for vulnerable countries, and the mechanism for its implementation is not yet materialized. But right now a fund has been created for the climate mitigation as well as adaptation activities that has been taking place in the vulnerable countries. So it is the first step in the direction of making the developed countries for their historical blunders. So this is what the historical aspect of United Nations Framework for Convention on Climate Change is about. So this is what the overall analysis in relation to the news is about. Okay, what we needed to study further is, we should know about what is the India's energy mix, what percentage of fossil fuel and what percentage of non-fossil fuel contributes for India's electricity consumption as well as other energy needs. And second, we should also know about IREDA under Ministry of New as well as Renewable Energy. And then along with United Nations Framework for Convention on Climate Change, the two other conventions have been made, in that United Nations Convention for Biological Diversity and United Nations Convention for Desertification. So these are all the other things which we need to be aware of.